Right, so now I've swapped the two EHT smoothing capacitors from what was yesterday a good unit, but now of course has blown up with unknown problems, into the other monitor's power supply, and we'll see what happens with this. Of course, now there is a question mark over those two components because they're the most likely ones to have failed, so I may be putting two faulty components back in. But with a diminishing stock of good components, it's a little bit difficult to see. Right, valve heater's just coming up now, so we should expect an increase now. 4 kV, 5, 6, something unpleasant happening, and restarting the power supply again. So this is exactly the same fault as before. So that really doesn't prove anything, unfortunately. So I'm afraid we're now back to square one again. Because it could be a fault on the board here, I suppose, such that it can't quite deliver the current required. But we just don't know. So do I go back to fixing the other power supply, which was working yesterday, but then isn't working today? Appears to have got a different fault than we've had before. There is the dilemma. Right, so it's the afternoon now, and after a lot faffing around, changing components again, this is a spare power supply from the junk box, reassembled. A few wires had fallen off, and I've replaced the missing parts, and I've been using this as a test bed to find a good set of capacitors, because that does really seem to be the weak link. So I'm going to give this one a go. Right, waiting for the valves to warm up, 1.7 kV. That's the first valve come on. Now we're up to nearly 15 kV. There's no sounds of sparking or any horridness now. Obviously we haven't got the tube attached to it at this point, it's in fresh air. But it is steady at 14.7 kV. So I think we've got a working supply, no sound of distress from this one, unlike the others. And we've got a good set of capacitors, and we found a lot more leaky ones, unfortunately. So I'm going to go now and go through the ordeal of swapping this into the monitor, which is about a half an hour job. Lots of fiddly screws to get in the right position and wires to solder into place. So we'll do that and we'll see what the result is. And just let the HT come down. I've been leaving the probe on for a few seconds because actually this is quite interesting. This is actually staying up quite well. It's still 130 volts on that final output capacitor, and it's mainly from this red one down there, which actually seems to be a lot less leaky than all of the others. It holds onto the voltage a lot longer than some of the others of the same value, so that's a good sign. And of course nothing is simple with these monitors. That seems to be the theme of this whole sorry restoration. But this is now my one good working power supply made up of bits from the spares box. And of course what do I find? It has to be different from all the others, and it's got all this stuff on the back which needs to be removed because it won't fit in the monitor. So another 5-minute job. Well, that wasn't a lot of fun, I can tell you. I put the spare power supply in and discovered that these were mounted the other way around, presumably because it came out of another monitor with a different size tube, which would also explain why the anode lead was an inch too short. So luckily a fourth scrapped power supply yielded that, but it was another unexpected little job to do. The good news is though that the power supply now works, and we do appear to have a working monitor at last. That's the first time this year that I've seen colour bars on this monitor, albeit a bit flickery and flashy at the moment. There is obviously some intermittency. So I think the next job is to put the base of the monitor on, turn it up the right way, and see if we can make some headway into finding out why it's a little bit intermittent there. I can't hear any EHT flash over, which is a good thing, because that was an issue I seem to remember when I last looked at these monitors, that they ran for a while and then flashed over. So fingers crossed, famous last words, we've got a monitor that's got a reasonable chance of running. I do notice that the contrast control is all very aggressive, so there's probably some other issue or adjustment that needs to sort that out. It's all right down near the bottom end of the adjustment. I think we may have to put some switch cleaner in there, so I think that might be part of the problem. The good news is that is now working, and I think I've earned myself a cup of tea and a bun. I'll switch it off or it all blows up.